Hello everyone, this is Srinivas from Informatica GCS, where today's topic is Metadata Manager service creation for Metadata Manager 10.0. Before creating the service, you have to confirm the below 2 points. You need to have a repository service and an integration service configured for and also you have to make sure those services are up and running. Metadata Manager service would require a repository service to deploy some workflows, and when a Metadata Manager resource load runs, this particular repository service has some workflows which would run, connect to the various data sources, and then extract the metadata from the various data sources, and then load the warehouse table. The integration service is required to run the workflows to extract the metadata and load the warehouse. You have to make sure the repository service should be on the normal mode, and also the metadata manager service and the associated integration service should not be running on a grid. Licensing options. The license used for metadata manager should have the option of metadata manager under its service option, and also it should have the metadata exchange options for various databases or data sources that you are trying to load as a resource in metadata manager. One more concept for metadata manager service would be a metadata manager file location and a metadata manager lineage graph location. Metadata manager file location would contain the various temporary files, the various CSV, XML parameter files, which is internally used by metadata manager to load the resources. Metadata manager lineage graph location is a new concept which is introduced in 10.0, where metadata manager service, rather than connecting to the database and getting the lineage information, would connect to the lineage graph location and get the lineage information. The introduction of this lineage graph location has increased the performance of the lineage rendering. Both these locations should be a valid location on the Infa Home server, preferably inside the Infa Home. And if you can also configure it outside your Infa Home, but make sure that you have all the required 777 privileges on the entire folder structure. Now let's configure a metadata manager service. Provide the service name, description, the location. In the location you can mention whether you want to see the service under the domain or any folder. License. The licensing options have been discussed already. Node. The node on which the service should run. So as I mentioned earlier, service is not supported to run on a grid, and it is also a preferred requirement if we can run the integration service, repository service, and metadata manager service, all the three services on the same node. Provide the associated integration service. Provide the password. In this step, you would provide the database type or the database details on which the metadata manager service would be configured. The supported databases are SQL Server, Oracle, and DB2. You provide the code page. So I'll provide Oracle details. You can provide the entry in the TNS entry file, or you can provide the connect string. You have to provide a database host name, the port on which the Oracle database runs, the service name. You can also provide additional JDBC parameters or the security database parameters depending on the database requirements on which you are configuring the MM service. Similarly, if you can provide a SQL server, you can also create the Metadata Manager service on a SQL server or a DB2 database. So here you can, this port number is the port on which the Metadata Manager service runs. 10250 is the default port. You can change it to any location. You can also enable SSL here and provide the key store file and key store password. Click on finish. You can see Metadata Manager service has been created. Now let's have a quick discussion on the various service properties options. So now you can see the name, description, and license and node information have been provided during the repository or during the service configuration. The port number. So agent port is the port where the MM agent service runs. We have already discussed about the Metadata Manager file location and the Metadata Manager lineage graph location. So this is the location the service provides by default. So where this is the infra home. So these are the database properties which we provided during creating this. When we created the service, this properties can be changed. You have to click on edit and then change the properties. Make sure if you are changing any properties, you click on you recycle the service by clicking on this icon for the changes to come into effect. And also you can see the configuration properties where you can provide the URL scheme. You can also change the connection pool properties where you can provide the active connections and the wait time for the service connectivity with the database. In the advanced properties, you can see the heap size, which is by default is 4096, and this heap size would change depending on the number of objects you are creating and the number of links you would be creating on a lineage diagram. If there are huge number of objects or there's a lineage diagram which requires linking between huge number of objects, then we would suggest you to increase this heap size to a greater value. From this log level, you can change the log level. The various log levels are debug, fatal, warp, trace, and info. By default, it's info. The max catalog child objects is the number of objects you can see in a drop-down list in the MMUI catalog. The max concurrent resource load is the number of resource load which runs in parallel. And the timeout interval is the time interval the resource load waits before the user provides a restart in case of a failure. So once you can see you have created a service. After the service is created, you have to click on actions, repository contents, create, and then create the contents. And once the contents are created, the contents would be created on this particular database on this user. So once the contents are created, you can click on enable service and then you can enable the service. By the end of this video, I hope that you would be able to create an Metadata Manager service with the required options. For more details, you can refer the installation and configuration guides. We would love to hear from you. Kindly drop us a mail at supportvideos@informatica.com. You can also find us on Twitter. You can tweet us at infasupport. Thank you. Have a great day.